Okay, let's just get right into it. A future Hall of Famer doesn't just get sent home mid-season, right? But that's exactly what just happened to Chris Paul and the LA Clippers. This isn't just a trade, it's a shocking split that could actually mark the end of an era. We're going to unpack how we got here.
And this is the big question, isn't it? The one hanging over one of the most decorated careers in modern basketball. For a player known as the point god, a leader who has defined teams for 2 decades, could his story really end like this? Not with one last playoff run, but by being told to pack his bags? So first, let's look at the announcement that pretty much stunned the entire league. This wasn't some quiet negotiation or a mutual parting of ways. No, this was a shocking divorce.
The official word came down hard and fast. The Clippers sent Chris Paul home. Now, you gotta understand, in the NBA, this is a rare and extreme move, especially for a player of his stature. It's a crystal clear signal that something behind the scenes had become completely, totally untenable.
And the fallout? Man, it was immediate. When a really respected reporter like Broderick Turner uses a word like unlikely to describe Paul joining another team, you have to pay attention. This wasn't just about leaving the Clippers anymore. This was the first real sign that this could be it, the end of his entire career.
So that leads to the obvious question. Why? Why this sudden split? A team doesn't just cut ties with a veteran leader like that for no reason. And reports quickly started surfacing that this was about way more than basketball. It was about a locker room that was at its breaking point.
Yeah, the reporting seems to suggest this wasn't about a bad game or some kind of a slump. This was about a fundamental breakdown in chemistry, a conflict that was just fracturing the team from the inside out.
The details really paint a clear picture here. Paul, who we all know for his demanding style of leadership, was reportedly clashing with coach Tyronn Lue and even openly criticizing the team. The front office saw this as a destabilizing force they just couldn't ignore. And here's the kicker. That reputation has now spread, with sources saying other teams are pretty wary of bringing that same dynamic into their own locker rooms.
But you know, it wasn't just happening behind closed doors. The conflict on the inside was actually mirrored by a really sharp decline on the court. The numbers from this season, well, they tell their own story.
It all starts with his minutes, just 14.3 per game. He was playing a career-low role, basically a shadow of the floor general we're all used to seeing command the court for entire quarters at a time.
And that limited time on the court, it translated to some jarringly low numbers, like just 2.9 points per game. I mean, this is a player who has averaged nearly 18 points for his entire career, so a number that low is a massive, massive red flag.
And maybe the most telling stat of all, his assists, the very hallmark of the point god, were down to a mere 3.3 per game. When Chris Paul isn't orchestrating the offense, his on-court impact has clearly just faded.
So when you put it all together, the picture is just undeniable. This steep drop in minutes, points, and assists, it all shows a player's on-court role had fundamentally changed. Combine that with all the locker room friction, and you really get the full context for why the Clippers made such a drastic move.
Okay, so you have the off-court drama and the on-court decline. This brings us to the final, unavoidable question. What's next for CP3? Is this really the end of an era?
So really, what are his options? Can he find a new team willing to take a chance on a legend for one last title run? Or is this it? Is this the final chapter?
When you start to connect the dots, the path seems to lead to one place. He had already hinted this was going to be his final season. He also chose the Clippers specifically to be near his family in LA. Now you add to that the fact that other teams are wary of signing him, and retirement starts to look less like a choice and more like the only probable outcome.
This is just a really jarring way to see a legend's career potentially wrap up. For a first-ballot Hall of Famer, the final scene is supposed to be a celebration, a victory lap, not an unceremonious exit.
And so, we're left with this question. For a career that was defined by an intense, brilliant, and often loud command of the game, could it all end in this sudden silence? It's a shocking final thought for one of basketball's most iconic competitors.